Part the crowd like the Red Sea. Nah, niggas fight to this. But don't even tempt me. My niggas fight to this. Clips can't do this. Hey yo, peace to our way of life. Hats off to all the trife. Let's toast to fully autos and foot-long knobs. Especially for stacks of greenbacks. My outfit will perform some blow-off stain raps. Now let me take y'all niggas back to my basics of this. You anxious to flip fat, catch a facelift. My shank do remarkable things for fakeness. My whole mall got the same patience. Throw on your track Asics and make moves like a spaceship. We pack places, infamous bangs your nation. You're light at the way station. That weak shit need replacing. Put this a heavy rotation. Overdose music, it's therapeutic to the user. Driving wild under the influence of this. Careful cause you might just crash your shit. Total you whip and still pull my tape out the deck. Me and Montana connect like $30,000 links. Unpoppable, unstoppable, toppable.
Yo, my drug clientele was bringing me money well. Smoking Buddha L's and weed so good they leave a funny smell. Niggas scoping me, hoping police is close to me. Mega regulating the way shit's supposed to be. Gold chain choking me, cocaine provoking me to live my destiny. Jacuzzi water soaking me, floating in the smoking Durango, doing my thing, yo, my Mac Millie, sweeter than a mango, son, you know the drilly. The drama is a part of me. Good time for cocaine, knives, and armed robbery. My rhyme and graffiti is a live nigga prophecy. Mega poetic, rhymes are like down for no credit. I leave your mind paralyzed, dumb, but don't wet it. Scarface persona, I acquired a taste for drama, and I embrace it. Spray shit, you banned from the projects. Your love here ain't shit. Yo, I'ma see you, nigga. You transparent, see-through rhymes, fully automated. You semi-crime related. Cormega and Mob D rhyme amazing. Thug shit you can't fuck with. What?
Fuck your bullshit rap, nigga. You ass bet talking all that shit. Don't even got cash yet. I floors, try to get away no gas tours. Got drama with my clique, I'ma take it to the source. QBC representative. I'm just trying to live. If I can't get to you, I'ma take it to your kids. Spray your crib, fuck it son, something gotta give. If I can't live, then ain't nothing gonna live. That's dead ass. About to put this whole shit in the smash. You real? Hit that ass up on 4 wheels. All jokes aside, you gonna squeal like the mother rappers. You know we kick the truth, you wanna clap us. I got this, strictly out the mouth, nothing but hot shit. Pop shit, couldn't fuck with this when we drop shit. You helpless, put your whole shit out of service. Get on some old shit. Thank God for this. Yo, if it wasn't the niggas like us, you just be asked us hustling. Petty Kid Cash, come on now, you know I know. When it comes to gats, I'm a hoe. Never bite my tongue, let them play. Your haters know how we coming. Straight coming through while you running. Get done it. Had that ass shaking like a bitch when she coming. One in the mail, slip that ass like a Mickey. It's 50-50 fucking with this nigga, just come and get me. That's right. Slow down. That's right. Slow down.
What I gotta do, let y'all niggas know, I am the nicest ever. Hardcore, commercial. What you wanna do? You wanna wild up? You wanna dance? Don't matter to me, I got it all locked down, baby. It's not a game, it's war, plain and raw, blood stained the war. When I bring the chain with the sword, bring the pain to your door like death is knocking. Unless you got my ass, I'ma make you twins with the headless horsemen. Hell extortion, say it so, live your dreams, don't pay the caution. Say hello to the guillotine, I kill a fiends for blood. Screams on thugs like fiends for drugs, I don't need no love. Give me your fear, money, respect, beer, hoodies and sex. We're here, up in the checks for years, hungry and stress, you fucking with Chris. Fuck pun, get the rap for later. Get your calculator, the head that cavitators back forever. They count how many heads I had to sever. Half the niggas I keep, I put them back together. That's the terror, could open your girl and make a trust out of flesh. Like Buffalo Bill, you fucking with real or real. Rap acts, maniac, soundboy killer. Hack, chain react, 2 for 1. Double the death, same price. What would Big say? You know that ain't right. It's not a game hard,
nothing later.
We're getting paid hard,
Nothing later.
it's still G-Squad.
Nothing later.
What you came for? Surgery with the chainsaw. Game hard,
Nothing later.
we're getting paid hard.
Nothing later.
Surgery with the chainsaw. Park the big, my Glock so big you can rock the bridge. Drop the midsection at the top of your wig. Ain't no bullshitting. Getting the full treatment, special dual heated missiles. To your crews leaving with you, I rip you in half. Blast that ass through a glass window, laugh a little. And dash in the S-Class limo. That's how we do it in the South. Boogie, your tough mouth rookies get stuffed out. I'm talking loud to me. Why should I even consider your crew? Shit in your crew, get rid of your crew. What I'm fitting to do, I split you in two. Leave you in pig when I blast the shotty. Ripping the group and leave you there, but half your body. We rowdy like Roddy, probably robbing your stash. Hurt your body like Charlie, up north, snatching knives in the ass. Surviving the task, we the last ones left. Blast the text with clips, fast as vex and spit. Acid tips for any bastard bitch, bastard shit. Watch me rap till it got you from the bastard that biatch. It's not a game hard,
Nothing later.
we're getting paid hard.
Nothing later.
It's still G-Squad.
Nothing later.
What you came for? Surgery with the chainsaw. Game hard,
Nothing later.
we're getting paid hard.
Nothing later.
It's still G-Squad.
Nothing later.
What you came for? Surgery with the chainsaw.
What's what happened to your friend? You don't want this to happen to you? Let me the money, bitch.
Oh yeah. I build structures with a sound foundation and bring ruckus, earth shaking but stay stationed. Permanent imprint, African kinship, learning to live shit, backs that done been with. We bear scars, so now we bear arms. Prepare for war, y'all ring the alarms. Old souls turn black to old coals, turn back to diamonds, and so the story goes. Resurrection brings about perfection. Turn up the beat, give my vocals inflection. Climb up the ladder, add up the data. I had an abrupt thought to cut the chatter. My meditated mind state increase the birth rate, decrease the crime rate. Wait, but not too long. Get your thing on, my people remain strong. On to the break of dawn. We rap to make cake and to make songs. Evaporate, hate, compress, suppression. I had to think about what I be doing when I mic testing 1, 2 when you don't stop. Cosmic slot, we swimming and we spinning and we spinning and we winning and we winning and spinning and spinning. What?
My nuts ready for action. Swallow my thoughts, follow the force like Luke Sky, swinging a laser blade. Soldier recruiter, holding my shooter. You against me, now what's a Kawasaki to a motor scooter? Get yourself ate the fuck up, cowards and supper. I was get rushed quicker than Jackie Chan or Chris Tucker. I snuck with the jewels from say I stuck to the rules of the mastery of ceremonial acts for satisfaction. Listen, yo, I even heard it was medicinal bliss. Pure forms and paragraphs and parables. Say my name in vain, no record is own now. Niggas is grown now, the only person that can calm me down is Farrakhan. Farrakhan. Farrakhan.
Yes. Samonoski, the samurai versus the bladed Jubei in this face-to-face action-packed saga involving swordplay. Masterless mic rippers unworthy comparing wits. From Wolverine, berserker attacks to rhyme spit. My vocals indent the toughest titanium imprint. To properly puncturing your swallow with air kit. Making your lungs freeze like the nipples on wiggling jelly tits. Leave opponents breathless like running 100-yard sprints. In a marathon, the mouth-to-mouth martial art intense. My breath represents death for scalpers and breath mints. The cowardly repents from invitations I've sent. In conjunction to making sure the mic never touches your fingerprints. Quietly spinning hibernation, juggernaut's helmet. The fullest extent, wrapped to the lowest part of your pelvis. The cavalier crusader in question these counterfeits. Mutilate your manhood to convert it to celibate. Poisonous medicine, Kagera, infection, and snake bit. From stopping the flow with your veins and hell these anesthetics. Planet Asia, pep love, like winter. Planet Asia, pep love, black winter, rejuvenate. Unexpectable, credible, massive airs repopulate. Cause the thought balloon to deflate, escalate problems to debate, generate adrenaline, feeling the rush, ejaculate. We confiscate your air passes from lungs, to hyperventilate. Heroic mistakes on numerous dates, add on weight to chrome plates. To chrome plates. To chrome plates. To chrome plates.
Yeah, thank you for joining us here on The Machine Lies, where we talk about the lies of the machine on The Machine That Lies. I'll just sort of wait for people to pour in here. I know there's not that many people here right now. Right? And the main reason for that may as well be the recent there's any number of reasons. One would be, holy smokes, and all sorts of shit coming out of me at the point of this fasting. I apologize for that. I appreciate you guys, right? But yeah, you know what I mean. We got basically a huge ban going on, right? So there's a huge ban on just on YouTube, right? They're censoring comments, they're censoring shows, right? So a lot of the regular material that we do is obviously very, very risky to perform some of those ideas and all that type of stuff. So, you know, obviously we like to take a more professional look at the material, right? And more sound mind when we sort of approach the material, right? And of course, there we take a sort of comparative lens in analyzing the materials that we study. So I appreciate you guys. Let me drop the link here in the chat, even though nobody's really here, right? And I'll sort of begin doing a bunch of... Wait, what was that I just dropped? Oh, whoops. I dropped the link to my own show. So in the chat, if you'll notice, there's a link to the video of this show in the show. It's pretty weird. But yeah. Let me actually drop the StreamYard. That's what I meant to do. So yeah, StreamYard, come on up, have a chat with us. And of course, we have different issues that we've discussed, right? We could discuss, you know, politics and news, of course, right? There's a lot of different items there, right? We can discuss the philosophy of technology, right? This whole idea about what is technology, right? And what are sort of, you know, a man's, how is man sort of contained or accentuated, or how is nature contained or accentuated through that process of technology itself, right? So we have this entire issue of techniques or technics, right? Whichever way you want to call it, right? Of course, Mumford uses the word technics, right, to signify the sort of, multifaceted aspect of cultural techniques, right? Cultural techniques aren't defined by what he calls a monotechnics, right? It's defined by a polytechnics, right? And what we mean by monotechnics is sort of this technical monism, right? Technical monism, which is that if you use one part of a machine, you kind of use all the machines, right? Because all the machines are sort of interchangeable in their use. They define a sort of body of sort of an artificial environment of influences, right? That have a ability to sort of become calcified and ingrained within not only human psychology, right, but most obviously the routine processes that constitute human civilization. Okay, so once this happens, right, once you get this technical monism, right, popping off in the civilization itself, right, this is what Mumford calls the idea where sort of polytechnics gets replaced by monotechnics, right? Now for Jacques Ellul, right? Jacques Ellul, right? And I'll spell his name for you guys. Jacqueus. Jacques Ellul, Ellul. Right, the other guy is Lewis Mumford, Lewis Mumford, Mumford, right? You'll basically find out that these two guys, right, Ellul and Mumford, they're kind of like the bulwarks of the statements against the world technological system. So they provide the first sort of keen insights into this issue, right? So yes, but see, the problem with what Days of Noah is saying is that Days of Noah believes that we are in a fallen state, right? He also believes that technology is not the problem. He said that many times on his show. He said that there's some sort of base morality, and when looking at technical complexity, Days of Noah only wants to go back to the 80s, before the time of the internet, when we know that industrial society had already made great changes before that, right? So obviously Days of Noah does very good work looking at the sort of technocratic system and the way that it's run today and the modern issues, right? But what constitutes the ideas that created those issues? That's kind of what we're looking at here. Right. And these two guys, Mumford and Ellul, right, they would basically put more of an emphasis on the technology itself, right? Not on this fallen state that we have to overcome. Obviously Ellul is a Christian, right? So Mumford is sort of different, right? But they wouldn't say, right, that it's based on man's sort of being in a fallen state, and that technology is not the problem, that we only need to go back to the 80s. So those are some points that Days of Noah routinely makes that we can't really get behind. We're looking for a more critical examination of technical problems, not just during the formation of the internet, but way before that, right? We're even talking about the invention of writing, right? The invention of writing, the invention of the mechanical clock, right? How did that change society, right? What really is technology, right? So we're getting more into the philosophy of technology itself by defining the sociological issues, right? Instead of just looking at it on a sociological basis, the way that somebody like Sherry Turkle, right? Or somebody like somebody who would look at the modern issues, maybe a postmodernist thinker or something like that, right? They're looking at it in a more through the guise of modern philosophy. We haven't really looked at too much at modern philosophy yet, right? We've looked at the underpinnings of modern philosophy, people like Marx and Hegel, and we'll continue to do that, right? And we're sort of looking at the underpinnings of ancient philosophy, right? People like Heraclitus, Pythagoras, right? We're looking at the underpinnings of Eastern thought. People like Confucius and Lao Tzu and Gautama Buddha and so on and so forth, right? So we're only now providing a foundation of those ideas, right? Which is really important to do, right? Because most people, they blow right past providing an adequate foundation to those ideas. They assume that these ideas developed in a vacuum, that these people who thought up these ideas were geniuses, right? Who just sort of came up with this new idea in a vacuum. Nothing can be farther from the truth. You have to have a correct genealogy, right? So that you can measure, right, the way ideas sort of change and evolve over time. And and of course, people have they're constrained by their own dogmatic approaches, right? So we appreciate the news. See, Adam Green and Days of Noah, those are the two guys I've went to for news for a very long time, right? We sort of watch them for news, right? But we got to get past the news. We got to get to the idea of, what makes people move and think, right? And these sort of ideological constraints that they inhabit, right? Then we could sort of start to map out, what the sort of key principles, problems, and potential solutions are. So these two guys I mentioned, right? They're extremely potent, as we've read some of their thoughts and ideas, and of course their works are not very hard to come by, right? I remember I went onto the one of the shows where they were talking about Hexen Tarot, right? And I'm not sure who made the Hexen Tarot deck. Suzanne Treister. But yeah, look at this deck in this tarot deck. It's got some interesting names in there, right? That sort of sometimes we discuss on the show, right? The Hermit, right? She put the Unabomber for the Hermit. Right? She's got the ARPANET here, U.S. Defense Advanced Research Project. Advanced Research Projects, right? That's what DARPA stands for, if you guys didn't know, right? And of course, there's a division within DARPA where they use it to have people, sort of LARP on the internet. Oh, whoops, you guys aren't seeing this. And it's called LARPA. Right? So there's DARPA, there's LARPA. So we got ARPA. It's probably best that I didn't put Uncle Teddy up on the because just by putting a picture of Uncle Teddy, you could get banned. So you could talk about anything in the world now. You know, you could even say, you know, certain people or groups are the most evil people on the planet, right? But you can't talk about Uncle Teddy. Wow. Another subject that we're going to look into is this idea of cybernetics. I think okay, so here's Wiener right here, right? There's Norbert Wiener right here, right? Um Huh, this is weird. I thought there was more cards here. Oh yeah, there is. I'm trying to find the one she had Mumford and Rousseau, I believe. So there's two other thinkers that we're thinking of. And that's Mumford and Rousseau. Tim Berners-Lee. He's another guy that's mentioned in the introduction. Right? He's mentioned in the introduction of our show, right? Somebody whose ideas led to CERN, it says, right? Okay, I'm not finding the Mumford card. Maybe I need to like look more into this. They got one for Turing. They got one for John Zerzan. You guys know who John Zerzan is? John Zerzan is kind of like an anarcho-primitivist, right? Is this Mumford? No, that's Heidegger. Oh, they got Heidegger here. Nice. Maybe I'm missing this. But they got William Gibson here. They got a card for techno-Gaianism. Huh. Nice. I mentioned that term earlier, right? I mentioned it in contrast to transhumanism. I said there's transhumanism and there's techno-Gaianism. Right? In transhumanism, right? You know, I said they want to sort of go beyond nature by merging with technology, right? But in techno-Gaianism, they want to merge with nature through technology. Right? So it's sort of a parallel to Discordianism and accelerationism, right? As a sort of methodological standpoint, right? We have less ideologies and more methodologies, right? This is because the ideological frameworks have been conditioned by techniques and the technical framework, and they've become so ingrained and conditioned and part of the psychological framework, right? That what you really have is the total ensemble of techniques, right? Or the total ensemble of means to achieve a particular end. Well, this is how Ellul defines technique, right? So for Ellul's definition of technique, it's the multitude of means that we can use to achieve a particular end, right? And this, of course, is a part of methods, right? Means and methods, and basically the how to, right? Do something. Okay. And And yeah, so if you get into this idea of complexification of means and massification of means, right? There's dual thing happening, right? And this complexification and massification, it dually constrains man on the psychological level, right? Because he becomes isolated and interconnected. This creates feelings of inferiority and over socialization in any particular person, right? So, on a psychological level, man is conditioned and constrained by technique, even the people who are the so called inventors and innovators, right? Right, they're often relying on a culmination of processes, including conditioning themselves, right, and also a plethora of means that were derived not from their own understanding, basically, right? So we have, in other words, the rule of experts. Okay, this is a huge thing. Rule of experts. Give me a second, guys. All right, yeah. The rule of experts is basically part and parcel to this thing I'm mentioning, right? Which is this idea of, on the one end, the compartmentalization of knowledge and the loss of traditions, but on the other end, the complexification of means to a particular end, right? The complexification of means to a particular end. And what do I mean by complexification, right, or massification? Right, by massification, I guess we could talk about sort of the sheer size and sort of multiplicity of ways, and sort of the idea of overproduction and mass production, and how certain techniques have to be aggregated in order to save time and to have efficiency and so on and so forth, right? So there's this idea of massification of means, but of course there's another idea of complexification of means, and this means that you need more and more experts in order to accomplish a certain task. Okay, or more and more machines to accomplish a task, right? To put in incredible processes, right? So complexification, that goes to the idea of the complexity of the machine itself, right? How, as the sort of machines develop, they become more complex, right? Okay, and they also demand less from human skill. So there's a collective depersonalization that goes along with the loss of human skill as well, right? And the other thing, the massification, that means that that ties into monism and universalism and all this stuff, right? Okay, it's this idea that the means we employ to get to a certain end are extreme, right? Like, for example, in order to get food, right, you got to go to a supermarket, right? And how do they get the food to the supermarket? Well, it's an extremely interesting process. I don't know if you've ever looked into it. If you haven't, you probably should. We've given some explanations of that on this show, right? But if you look at the complexification and the massification of means that it takes just to get food, right? Whereas you think in the back in the day or whatever, right? If you wanted to get food, right, there may be 2 or 3 steps involved, right? For most people, right? So this is sort of what we mean by complexification and massification of means, and how most people have to rely on said means, right? Now, obviously, what Uncle Teddy says is pretty simple, right? He says that, you can't go back to a simpler time, right? That's not going to happen, right? You're not going to be shutting the system off without killing millions of people, right? So that's not an option. You're not going to be changing the system because you don't know how, complex systems, you can't predict how they change over time, right? So large scale changes cannot be predicted within complex systems, right? So, I mean, the system is going to continue to integrate people and to turn people into machines. So trying to maybe abstain from either the use of machines or trying to trying to change man's relationship to machines is probably not going to happen in the time that it takes in order to stop humans from being engineered, right? So he basically says that you should basically shut down the system and accept the consequences. And that's why it's such a radical statement, right? Many of the thinkers that are against the world technological system, they didn't take as extreme measures as he did, right? They said maybe you should develop parallel systems, right? Do a sort of creative reconstruction, right? Using sort of values and updating those means and sort of relying on better means, right? That we employ. So there's all sorts of different ways in which we can look at the issue and the problem, right? Okay, let's take a look at who's in the chat. I've gotten going a little bit now. I guess a few people have showed up here, and I appreciate you guys hearing me out. Right, we'll sort of get into the topics here, right? And I'll sort of connect this to what we're talking about, right? And I got a couple of things that I think will interest you guys in terms of the show material, right? So I'll sort of introduce what we're talking about here. But yeah, let me look at the chat. Let me see who's here. Correspond with the people. And of course, I greatly appreciate your time, right? Especially since the time has been a little bit tentative, right? So maybe I'll address that as well in a little bit, right? Because the time here has been very tentative, right? It's been sort of random times that we're starting at. And I'll explain why that is in a minute. It's only for this week that's happening. Then we'll go back to our regularly scheduled. But let me holler at these homies. Yeah, blessings to the homie. I appreciate you, man. Being the first one here. Browns boy, what's up? Dr. E, thank you for watching. We got the link here. There's opportunity to have discussions, right? And of course, I don't really regulate the discussions. I don't try to bar people from having their own opinions and ideas, even right about the show material. So I mean, it's really weird why more people won't come up and talk to me. It's like, I've been on a lot of shows too. I've been on like dozens of shows, right? So the fact that people will not talk to me, right? And maybe they're intimidated, but this is really weird, right? So, yeah, we've gone some next places. They are very keen on inviting us up and then just talking over us the entire time we're there, right? They never let us get a word in or ask us for our opinion, but they invite us to their show, right? So you could sit there, right? and be just a silent expert, right? So yeah, it's crazy. So I guess they appreciate our presence on their shows. They just don't want to come over here and contribute to the content here, I guess. So that's it's funny how that works. So Dr. E Steelman, I appreciate you, man. We got the homie Dom. Hey, what's going on, brother? I appreciate you watching, man. Thanks for watching. As always. Just Frank out here. Yeah, not too many people out here for the boy, to be honest. Just Frank is here. I appreciate you. Yeah, we got like 11 people watching. Like, what is this, a joke? Like, we've been doing this for 2 years, but yeah, dirt and flesh will not bond. But yeah, okay, I appreciate you. Yeah, dirt and flesh will not bond. I gotta think more about that one. I grow food. Excellent. That's great stuff, man. Blessings to you and your family. I'm sure that's like I said, the process of going to a grocery store greatly articulates complexification and massification of means, as I said, right? And there's a number of examples that are just very readily available, but most people don't want to think critically about these issues, right? And don't want to think about the collective loss of autonomy in the face of technique. Something that doesn't really appeal to them, right? Right? They want to talk about instead they want to be sort of people who attach themselves to technique. They think that their car or their cell phone or their computer or their knowledge about how computers are run or any of these things constitute actual value, right? They actually think that their possessions and their machines and how they use these machines that articulates their own personalities and their desires, right? How they're filtered through the machine. They believe it's a good thing. Okay, they don't think it's depersonalizing, right? They think it accentuates their personality. They don't believe they're conditioned in any form. Okay, and this is a part of the problem, is that we have people that are so brainwashed, right? As to think that, that they function on some level where they're totally disconnected just because they sort of live off grid or in an Amish community, or they do one or two things that sort of free them from the constraints of the world technological system. They think they've become totally liberated from it. They're like completely delusional, right? So we do have this as well. We have this issue as well. People who just, they don't want to be truthful or honest about the objective factors of power in our day and age, right? They live in the fantasy world, basically, right? And they don't want to acknowledge that we live in a world technological system, right? They still believe in things like nation states and, not that these things aren't highly relevant and important to preserve traditions and cultures, in the face of the world technological system, right? As we've continuously mentioned here, right? We've continuously mentioned that here. Actually, we talk about two main issues. I've condensed it down just to two main issues, right? To make it very simple to understand for people. Okay? And you can maybe put this on either side of the map, right? Of the political map, right? If you're talking to a conservatard, right? Okay, then you basically have to talk about the loss of traditions. They can't get going with their so-called ideology without addressing the idea of the loss of traditions, right? They can't preserve their cultural, religious, or national heritage without talking about these things, without talking about the global system, globalization, cultural homogeneity, monoculture, right? The idea of liberalism taking away traditions, right? So there's many different concurrent issues that you can say to a conservatard, right? And say, these things are collectively causing the decline of humanity. Don't you see it, conservatard? We're losing our traditions. We're losing our values, right? Because of technology, right? Now, for the libtard, right? They want to preserve nature and the environment. They don't care about countries. They don't have any dog in that fight, right? So you got to tell them, look, don't you want to save the earth, libtard? Don't you want to save nature? Don't you want to protect wild nature, our mother? Isn't everybody part of the same global system of nature, not technology? And shouldn't we help preserve that, right? So you have to talk to the libtards and the conservatards two different ways, right? You bring to them alternative issues that they can correspond with, right? Because they're stuck in their frame of reference. Stuck. Right? So this is the issue, right? So you have to work within people's ideological confines, right? There's no use in trying to uproot their ideologies and then trying to, yell at them about what they should believe, right? No. That's not how things work, right? You have to work within their ideological confines. Now, how proficient are you going to be at doing that if you haven't looked into different ideologies, right? You'll have no proficiency, right? You'll have no proficiency at it, right? Blessings to Frank Monday. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thank you for having me, TML. Good to see you, man. Hope you're doing well.
Oh yeah, I'm okay. Just different times now, for the shows. Just only for this week, but then we'll move back to the night. Either 7 or 9. I can't figure out which one I want to do yet. So probably 9, I think. I think maybe 9 might be too late. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, good magic. It's always different times for me, so I never know when anybody is or where they are. I was trying to get my head around your delineation of the two ways you had tried to simplify it for the average folks like myself, right? The average everyday individual. But as I was trying to log on to StreamYard, I pretty much lost like the last 2 minutes of where you had went with that. If you could recap maybe a little bit. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I've gone into this a lot. It's two ideas I talk about. It's on the one end is this idea of the loss of traditions, right? So I sort of pair that with this idea of the rule of experts or the compartmentalization of knowledge, right? Because see, knowledge or experience being tied to ethnos, right? Meaning the cultural forms, right? Or being limited by the cultural forms, right? When technique is limited by cultural forms, a cultural means of expression, how it used to be pretty much throughout all of human history, right? People developed a cultural mode of expression, right? And then they developed technologies that were filtered through that cultural mode of expression. And this is why they became a real polytechnics, right? Not a monotechnics that encompasses all the technology into one overarching system, right? So once they, so this whole idea of compartmentalization, right, or rule of experts, right? This deals with knowledge being separated from traditions, right? Knowledge being desacralized pretty much, right? So what happens to knowledge is it gets divorced from our religious inclinations, from our cultural ambitions, right? It gets divorced from those things, and it just becomes knowledge for the sake of knowledge. Now you got to research, what are the birds doing? What's going on in the ocean? Right? Can we control the ocean? Can we control the birds in the air? Right? Can we figure out how to manage all life on Earth? Right? And you create this global system, right? Because of the compartmentalization of knowledge, because of the loss of traditions, right? So loss of traditions on one end, right? The other one is the destruction of wild nature, right? And the destruction of wild nature goes with this creation of this monoculture, right? Which is this global world culture through international trade, right? And yeah, it destroys nature, right? And subordinates nature and desacralizes nature, right? With technique, okay, by having the same products in every country, right? And this whole idea of destruction of wild nature, it ties to the first problem, because it's up to the local people to preserve the wild plants or to replant wild nature in their own sort of area, right? So people have to sort of recover and sort of figure out what was lost first, right? In wild nature, right? Through these various means, that we've done, international trade, the hybridization of plants through agriculture, right? So on and so forth. We've lost so much of wild nature, right? Through these basic processes, right? So preserving our local nature, replanting wild nature, also preserving our local traditions, right? And our culture, right? These things can help us combat the world technological system, right? Just because these are the things that have been mostly uprooted because of the world technological system. These are the effects, and they're the effects that affect humans, right? They're the anti-human effects. They're the effects of depersonalization against the individual, and so on and so forth, right? So that's my explanation.
Yeah, very good. Yeah, thank you for that. That gets me up to speed, and it speaks directly to my own like mission in life. I think it's what drew me out of the West and into the East, is because I saw that they had a preservation of those things. They had somewhat of a preservation of traditional culture, even though there was a firm attempt to uproot it from within the Chinese people. And then certainly a historical archive of like all of the medicinal herbs and systems that they used over here for natural and homeopathic healing, acupuncture, moxibustion, obviously herbology and this type of thing. And I felt that the Chinese still possessed at least some aspect of that long lasting tradition throughout time. And supposedly, it was about 100 generations long, according to some Taoists. But you never know, right? Like that's the crux of the thing that we found ourselves in now, is because of this dual pillar system of the destruction of traditional cultures, and combined with the destruction of our natural environment and wild nature, as you said. Like we really don't know heads from tails anymore. What is up, what is down, what's black, what's white. It's become very very obfuscated, and it's becoming increasingly more difficult to find our way through the maze. But with that said, I mean, there's still voices like yours that are trying to usher in the rediscovery of those truths that will lead us back out of darkness, and into the light. Well, yeah, it's a tough thing. You're always presenting that challenge. And I think that speaks to, in part, to like what you were saying a moment ago, that very, very few people approach the challenge to talk about that in a way that may bring about some resolution and some solution to these things, And like you said, they'll have you on, but then they'll just overtalk you, because they're not looking necessarily for that leveling up,
Yeah, I mean, Yeah, I mean, in terms of most of the things I put down here, it doesn't matter who you are, right? These are problems that basically affect everybody. So I'm trying to get to a truth that really encompasses as many people as possible because I'm speaking on a public forum, right? So the fact is that I'm trying to go through as many sort of ideological barriers as I can and present an overarching issue that maybe affects everybody. So once you understand this truth, then you could go and believe whatever you want. You could go and fight for whatever you want, right? So there is an issue that we can all believe in, right? Is what I think, right? And that's this idea of, the massification and complexification of technical means and how it's led to a collective loss of human autonomy, the destruction of wild nature, the loss of human traditions. This is a problem not if you're Muslim or Jewish or Hindu or or a Mexican or a black or a Jew, right? It's actually a problem that's affecting all of humanity, right? Where we're in the danger pretty much of human beings being so inundated by machines that there may be basically in the next 20 to 30 years very little ability to distinguish between a human being and a machine, to a large extent, right? So
certainly.
Yeah, in terms of how many human parts are becoming replaceable with machine parts, how many human behaviors are becoming indistinguishable from machine behaviors, right? So on and so forth, all right? I mean, people think these are just, that's going to take 20 to 30 years. I guess I can sit back and relax, right?
And how directly like people have become connected to the machine, like the neural interface is here, even though like the GUI is still just audio visual. Like most people are locked in 24/7, as it were.
But 90% of what they see and hear is being dictated by an algorithm, and they still want to say, oh, well, most of my actions and my thoughts are just my own, even though they're inundated with this information. They don't know how it controls them on a subliminal basis, right? And they're just completely ready for the sake of convenience to allow themselves to be controlled by it. So this is obvious that they're not. And here's another thing. If you try to take it away from them, they'll squeal. They'll squeal in agony. They'll squeal, no, give me back my cell phone. No, my whole life is there. Right? So this is another thing, right? That they are so attached, right? And they think, oh, no, I'm a free human. I have free will and I can do what I want. Yeah, right.
It's funny. It's funny you should mention that. Like about 20 years ago, I had a Nokia candy bar phone when it was still like gray text, and all you could do was text message people, right? And I had a contact list on there that I was using to organize things like like dance classes and kung fu classes and other meetups and stuff. And I was a newly married, and so my wife got extremely angry because there was a lot of young ladies in there as well, on the contact lists, and she took away and stole away my phone, like to deprive me of that contact ability. And at the time, we're talking 15, 20 years ago when they were still using like the candy bar phones. They weren't smartphones. They were fucking basically CB radios with lists in them. And I laughed at her and I was like, okay, whatever. You took that. I said, you can no longer call me. Other people can't call me. And I went 2 fucking solid years without a phone and didn't care. And at that time, it was still, kind of very little interaction. We're talking like 2003, 2004. There wasn't as much interaction with the laptops and stuff like that as well, right? So it wasn't a big deal at that time. And yeah. My son, he's adopted a kind of new approach though. He's like going on 18 right now, and he recently lost like his smartphone, and he kind of rolled with the punches, and he's like, I don't give a fuck, whatever, just move on, do other things. But yeah, it's a really tough thing. Like, imagine trying to deprive a person, like, a couple of days, or, like in my situation back then, a couple of years. It's getting increasingly more difficult for people to be able to function without those things.
Yeah, and it just seems ridiculous that you know uh that people will readily say, right? Oh, well, technology doesn't control humans. It's humans that control the technology. But if you shut off the internet, a million people are just gonna die. Okay. So I guess it's keeping a lot of people alive. I don't know.
Yeah,
So
maybe a million would die, but tens of million would literally like go fucking bananas. I mean, imagine if 90% of these automatons weren't just locked in 24/7, they would get squirrely pretty quick.
yeah. Yeah. And yeah, so I
And it's a good
appreciate.
question. Like, what would be the next step? And welcome to Brian O'Shea. I didn't see
Yeah,
him pop
blessings,
in.
Brian, man. Yeah, what's up?
Thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah, thanks for
I
being
don't
here.
have too much to interject,
Yeah, cool.
but I'm right here with you. Like the compartmentalization is like such a key control component. It seems like,
Right.
yeah, in all aspects. They do it with medicine, and it just, yeah, that's like a major. Because you're just taken away from the whole, right? It's a way to separate people. Like, say you were
Yeah.
dating a girl, like you isolate her from all types of shit. That's what it feels like, compartmentalization. And it's like the one self. It's separate yourself from the one self. Like you're just a separate thing that can, like, let's just compartmentalize everything and fucking just askew. Yeah. So that's my little 2 cents. It's
Yeah.
resonating.
Yeah, because it's like back in the day, like when you wrote poetry, it would be a religious poetry. It would deal with metaphysical issues and science and all that shit, right? So that's because they saw religion and science and the study of nature and politics. They thought all of that was the same subject, and it is. But like, the rule of experts can only come if you say no, you go look at politics, you go look at science, you go look at religion. I'll control the money, of course, right?
Right.
And we'll figure it out.
Yeah. It's leading people on wild goose chases, fucking, or just, yeah, taking away the power. People are going to become like robots, you were saying. Yeah, it feels like that, man. It feels like oh, what's the actual population? Well, how many beings actually have soul and spirit, or is there like levels to that? You have more soul or spirit, or I don't know.
Absolutely.
Just trying to.
Seems that way. Seems there's certain people that if you talk to them, they're not capable of hearing certain shit. And that means they're on some sort of lower level of soul or spirit. Like they have no comprehension of shit that is outside of their purview. And that means that they're literally closed off. And you can see it in their eyes when you tell them some shit. It's like it just went right through them, where it's like they're not capable of seeing this one thing. It's like, oh shit, this is way deeper than I thought it is. It's not that this person is closed off to the truth, because I'm not able to communicate it. They understand exactly what the fuck I'm saying and ignoring it. So there's that's a different monster.
And there really does seem to be like an impending coming collapse, or what they're calling like an extinction event. I work at an academy here in China, where China was always, for a long time, right, was boasted as one of the most populous nations on earth, right? And our little academy since lockdown 2020, right, has gone from 3,500 active students to around 1,200 in just that amount of time, right? And I've seen the city clear out too, like lockdown. I don't know what the fuck was going on during the old reset, but like I would say close to 50% of our city kind of just disappeared and hasn't returned. And so there does seem to be like an impending I don't know, some sort of human collapse that's being orchestrated. In addition to that, like I talked to probably, I don't know, 60 students today and maybe half a dozen educators, like so-called teachers or whatever. And in almost every interaction where I was looking for like direct human feedback, their suggestion was the AI will solve it. Just AI it. Like that was almost like the ubiquitous. I'm not sure if I'm coming through. It looks like I might be roboting. Is my audio okay, TML?
Yeah, you sound fine. Yeah. So.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So just like the definitive response from everyone was just like, don't do any work, just fucking put the prompt in and get the solution and then post it out there. And I'm like, fuck, man, that's not even a level of interaction that's even human based anymore. And that's for an entire school, like an academy, that's like 90% of it's running on fucking Autobot at this point. So my hypothesis has been that the great lockdown was when the AI kind of flipped the switch and took over. That's what I've seen.
Yeah, and Alul points out in the Technological Society, this book that we're reading, concurrently on the show in 1964. This is the main, basically impetus for the show material, right? Is this one book, right, by this one French dude, right? Basically, that influenced Uncle Teddy to go into that cabin, right? So the whole idea there, right, is how he talks about how the Washington Oracle was used to recall General MacArthur, right? And he said that this Washington Oracle was basically like a computerized system that just calculated the data and figured out that it was the best decision was to recall General MacArthur. Right. And then, Alul says how many other decisions are being made by these types of machines, right? Or have already been made, right? And this was back then, right? Before 1964, right?
Yeah, well, it's interesting to think about too, because that was prior to my birth. Not a lot, maybe 7 years.
Right.
But that puts me in a position. It's like, what was any of it ever real? Like trying to
right.
go back down memory lane and being like, how much of that is even tangible fact and what's really going on right now too,
yeah, like I remember like when I came to this country, like we had like a kid, right, that like in elementary school that they'd put you next to, right? And I always found it interesting, like where I'd get sit next to a very specific kid, that would kind of have like a weird personality too, right? They'd also like watch animes, like they'd be something similar. So it'd be like, did some psychologist at this school put me with this fucking kid? Right? So it's kind of like, how many of these decisions have they decided from very early on, even who you sit next to in school and, and so on and so forth, that then influences you along the way. I mean, could be any number of things.
Yeah, absolutely. Social engineering. Like one of the aspects of the hood that I grew up in Los Angeles was, and something my dad pointed out early on, and who knows, was he really my dad? Was he really that thing? Go too far down the rabbit hole, everything becomes questionable. But he said that one of the intrinsic things of LA was manufactured crime, so at every intersection they had porn shop, liquor store, pawn shop, and gun shop. So they were encouraging the hoodies to go in and get a gun, then get drunk and, maybe crack up on the rock and then get all whacked out on pornography and then go out and rob somebody's house and bring it all over to the pawn shop. That way they could get paid again and loop the circuit. And so they created a kind of criminal culture within the hoods. And my dad said there were white papers on it that the CIA was behind all of it. And I thought, wow, what a thing. And he said, yeah, they're creating a game so that if you get caught, you get drafted into the prison slave system where you're working, for 25 cents an hour or whatever for the prisons for profit. And then if you break through that, then you can get into the bottleneck of college and university and try to make it into the upper echelons of the elite, the intelligentsia. And then, so it's an entire system set up in echelons. That's, I mean, fuck, I was growing up in it. I'm 50 plus, going on 55 years old. So it's not something that's new, and it's an old game somehow. So if it was set up that way then it's like, how much more so is it now with the new, another colleague I had come to, and he was carrying he had a brand new iPhone 17 or something like that. And he had a stack of like, Blackpink, booty rock, K-pop DVDs that he was listening to. And I said, look at, how like you're carrying those things. You're the coolie. Coolie was a person who would carry baggage for folks back in the day. And I'm like, you're the coolie for your iPhone 17 and like this merchandise that they've bestowed upon you. Because he was telling me how much pleasure these things had given him. And I just baffled at it. And he couldn't even set it down for like a 20-minute conversation. Like I set all my phones down. I turned them off. I set them to the side. I was trying to interact with him. And every 30 seconds, he's gunning away at that phone and getting distracted and getting pulled in. What have you got here for us?
Well, I found that the Hexen Tarot of Lewis Mumford, right? So this is the card for Mumford, and it's got some interesting information on there. It says the root of modern technology, the medieval clock, right? So in the 1200s, right, Mumford said that modern technological civilization actually began in the 1200s with the medieval clock, right? That it changed our reliance on, nature to tell the time. Right, like what seasons there were and so on and so forth, right? That we created the work day and so on and so forth, right? So he says here, it says, The Myth of the Machine, Volume 1, Technics and Human Development, 1967. Volume 2, The Pentagon of Power, 1971. Mumford fostered values that could reshape technologies for creative and constructive purposes through integration of tools, machines, knowledge, values, skills, and art. Biotechnics, an organic model of technology. He wrote Technics and Civilization in 1934. He wrote about the Mega Machine, which he said was the builder of pyramids, and of Rome and the Kremlin and the Pentagon and so on and so forth. The industrial complex, he says. And it says here, megatechnics. With this new megatechnics, okay, I can't even read this. Create a uniform, all-enveloping, superplanetary structure, automatus, personality, man will, I don't know. I can't read it too well. But yeah, megatech.
Yeah, it's a good one. It immediately, at looking at it, rather than the 8 of chalices, it reminded me more of the 7 of chalices, which is the like disillusionment and confusion of the prime material plane and being like overwhelmed by too many ideas, too many options, and like the illusionment of all these grand things before you, right? You see the wayfarer there, the querent, and he's got all the chalices before him. The 8 of chalices actually represents like ennui and the turning away from that, and like the journey back into the mountains and back into the self. But that 8 he's got there, it seemed to me more akin to the 7. But at the same time, when you study tarot, you have to think of like in terms of minor arcana, like what comes before and what comes after. But yeah, that's a really good one. The 8 of chalices, the Lord of ennui and disillusionment, and like kind of turning away from the thing itself. I've seen this tarot before too, and this is a really good one. The one you've got there displayed, like he did an entire 78 cards, right? Like an entire plate system.
Yeah, I think it might be a she, but yeah.
Oh, a she. Sorry, no. My
But it says
apologies.
I'm not sure too much, but about the origins of this. I was on a show where they were covering it a long time ago. But it says U.S. historian, writer, and social philosopher. See, the show I was on, they had no information about these thinkers.
Okay.
Which is funny because I looked at some of these cards and I was like, we're gonna do entire shows about these thinkers, right? Like not only one show but multiple shows, right? So
Yeah, and
pretty
guys, you've
interesting.
probably already covered as well. Yeah.
Yeah, we read their works and so on and so forth. And so it says interdisciplinary an analyst, of the effects of science, technology, and urbanism on human societies. And of course, we watched his documentary on the city. So yeah, so Lewis Mumford, right? He's the Eight of Chalices in that deck. But yeah, we looked at a few of the cards there. There's a few thinkers in there like Alan Turing and Norbert Weiner. Obviously Uncle Teddy. I believe they have a card for the social contract of Rousseau as well. So they have a number of unique thinkers. And I guess they have John Zerzan in there too, the anarcho-primitivist.
Here's an interesting thing I've noticed since like the inception of this thing. Like, the little CAPTCHA tests they do on most websites nowadays. And it's been
no,
doing
I'm
it
not too familiar with it.
Yeah, to
The
prove
cap-
you're
like-
human.
Oh, yeah,
Right.
you're talking about the clickety-click. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a reverse Turing test against humanity. And so I kind of was suspicious early on that the little puzzles and stuff in the CAPTCHA test are actually algorithmic programs, mini games for us to aid the AI in its development so that it can become more proficient at those things. Because obviously we're humans and they know exactly who we are and where we are, right? And so when we're interacting with these things, it's obviously easily trackable human behavior. And so to present the reverse Turing test against the humans, it's like, what a thing, right? And it's just, the whole thing has been that we're doing algorithmic training for them free of charge, right? They're outsourcing all of those type of developmental tools so that we can increase the proficiency of the AI over time. And so we're kind of digging our own grave in that way. It's funny.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely, Frank. How many of those things are just reverse engineering like that? It's got to be way more than we think. Where we're training the machine, even this StreamYards thing, right? How we're feeding our, biometric signatures when we get mad, when people get angry, even at a character on a screen, even at an avatar on a screen, right? That you could create an avatar on a screen and make somebody say something against somebody else. Just that, the psychological aspect of that, right? Where they don't even know the person, right? There's this whole psychological aspect of that in terms of depersonalization, and obviously, that they're probably studying in great detail, right? So, yeah, a lot of these things, yes, we're feeding the algorithm. We have to watch what we say. We have to be careful what kind of information we give it. And that's why I'm very careful about how I curate this show. I'm sorry, I just won't tolerate nonsense because we're feeding this fucking algorithm, right? So I want it to be, sort of dismayed by what I have to say. Sort of, you have to present the system with information that it can't reconstruct to destroy you, you dumb motherfucker. Right.
Right. Yeah. I've been facing off with in my own robotic challenges with my career, my job and stuff. Like they wanted to integrate a lot of new systems into like the basic classroom practice. And I went through the training and I kind of accepted the whole spiel and the jargon. And one of the things they kept saying over and over again, it was like almost a catchphrase: AI is your friend. Let AI do this. Let AI do that. And I'm like, man, this is some deep leveled fucking corporate bullshit brainwashing. And they want to let all the students, all the kids defer certain tasks too, which I think in some respects, like in developing liquid intelligence and being able to move with the times, some of that is necessary. But I reverted back to kind of Luddite style tactics and just getting in there and grinding through facts again and doing like spelling challenges and all different types of, like, how can you create better prompt management, this kind of thing. Because it's all shifted very, very rapidly. And I see that the end product is still extremely slipshod, mediocre, and secondary to human ingenuity. And I think if the only thing I can do at this point, like as I help these young people transition into the new world, is get them to focus on the fact that the nature of the human spirit, I believe, is well above mediocrity, and that we are striving towards union with God, which means, absolutely some form of perfected practice. And so, at least for now, like, we can still see the wishy-washy, slipshod, mediocre, half-assed nature of the thing. But it's like Brian O'Shea said a moment ago, how much longer will we be able to detect it as easy as we can now? Because it's getting harder and harder. And you're right. We have to provide the pushback that, and here's another theory that I heard about recently that was passed around. The fact that the AI is now training itself off of its own, like, kind of shit trail, is that it's turned into an Ouroboros eating its tail. And it ultimately, that's the doom of its ability to advance and excel, is that if people were essentially taken out of the equation, that it would collapse in and of itself. Have you heard this presentation, this idea coming forward?
Yeah, I heard it in a way where it's gonna backfire on, it's gonna backbite the rulers that are, the tyrants that are using it. It's gonna backfire on them. Like, maybe in the short term, in the beginning here, it's gonna fucking be something weird if they lock it down and social credit and all this shit. But it's gonna somehow come, like, not sentient, but it's gonna figure out, like, their bullshit, that they're pieces of shit, I guess. So you guys tell me how it does it, why it does it.
Here's the thing. When it comes to the technological system, the people who are running it are the most affected by it and believe in it the most. Meaning that the machines they're engineering, they're affecting them the most because they believe that they're upgrading themselves. Like Ray Kurzweil is taking 200 supplements a day because he thinks he's going to live forever. So,
and they think it makes them strong, gives them confidence, right? Like fake confidence, like false confidence, because they're like, "Oh my, we're so badass. It does these predictions and fucking."
I don't even know how that's possible. Like, are you just shitting out just bricks? Like, you know what I mean? Like, just solid minerals, right? Like, it's like 200 supplements a day. That's crazy, dude. Even right? Or like, I feel
build
like
a house,
like coal and shit. Right? Your shit would be like coal, even. But yeah.
Fucking bricks and coal, fucking building and burning, provide his own fucking shelter and energy sources.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we could. Yeah. If we run out of oil and gas, we could probably use Kurzweil's shit, right? for more, natural resources, But yeah,
like hempcrete.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So, but yeah. So here's another one. They got the big homie Henry David Thoreau on here, the triple OG himself, right? Who basically constructed the cabin in the woods, right? There's the little thing, Walden down here, right? Probably one of the most based moves in all of history.
Yeah, that's prescient. I'm going through his essay on nature right now in my AP language class.
Yeah, there you go, Frank Monday stepping up to the plate. with Thoreau's essay on nature. Hell yeah, brother. There we go.
Yeah. We're gonna start into that actually this week. We haven't gotten there yet. We just finished
What?
an
You're doing this
essay.
on a live stream?
No. I'm doing it in class at the academy I work at. I work at a high
Oh,
school.
I was about to say, I was like, we got to restream the shit out of this, dude. But
Yeah, no,
yeah,
I'm going
dude,
through.
if you want to talk about it on the show, we can too. So that'd be
Yeah,
fun.
absolutely. Once I get back into it, I've got Walden on my desk right now. I'll go ahead and flash it for you one time. I've already been doing some
Hell yeah.
preemptive study. I got some notes shifted in here.
Yeah, I read a part of that. I think it was like maybe 2 shows ago. I read like Walden or something like that.
Okay.
Yeah, where I was, quoting his ideas about the railroad system.
Yeah. There's a lot of good stuff, man. This was like kind of my passion. These guys and like Benjamin Franklin and revolutionary writers when I was in high school.
Yes. Yeah, I have the autobiography of Benjamin Franklin. That is also an excellent work if people want to understand statecraft. See, Franklin went to go start like secret societies and to go build libraries and to go write pamphlets that would subvert people's expectations of what a government is, of what a religion is. And that's kind of like how he proceeded with the revolution. He proceeded to just psyop hundreds of people.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, those guys launched themselves from a place called the Green Dragon Tavern. And Green Dragon is the Chinese mythical beast that represents the Golden Dawn, the East, the rising of the sun. Yeah, so they were steeped in it.
Yeah,
man.
they
Those
were
guys
agents of the new Atlantis, you could say.
That's right. That's right.
Secret destiny of America, and so on and so forth.
Yeah, so I talk about that shit with 12th graders. But yeah, it's gonna be fun. I'll maybe I can do some note taking and stuff and presentations and like some of my PPTs on my own channel after I get done with them. But it'll be a fun.
All right. Well, let me play some music and then we'll get into the Shang Tzu. We have Frank Monday here, so I think some of the ideas from the Shang Tzu will be extremely interesting to go through, and and of course, I was going to look at Parmenides and Shang Tzu, but we've had a good discussion, so maybe we'll look at Shang Tzu. We're looking at the Shang Tzu in terms of different translations of passages that are critical of technique. That's right, I said it. Shang Tzu is critical of technique. And of course, the entire Taoist and sort of, Frank sort of mentioned it earlier, right? This whole Eastern, sort of concept of sort of these non-utilitarian actions, right? That would sort of, be for their own sake, if you will. And, one movement completes the entire, structure and so on and so forth. And of course, Shang Tzu provides many different passages that deal with this, right? How we can minimize. Yeah. Go ahead, Frank.
No, that sounds good. It's gonna be good magic. And the music for the people is always a blessed thing.
Yeah. This is one of my favorite. I mean, this is just one of the classics. If you guys don't know, Mizell, right? Let me actually look up this for you guys. You guys aren't aware of this. This is just a massive thing that if you like music, like me, right? You just, you're missing out on a whole thing, right? From Detroit. I mean, Detroit is the king of just music. We got Motown, we got techno, right? We got, horrorcore, hip hop, stuff here. We got, and we got the Mizell brothers. That's right. We got Donald Byrd, right? And yeah, man, these guys are just, we're an American record producing team in the 1970s consisting of Larry Mizell and Alfonso Mizell. But yeah, look, they work with the Blackbirds and Donald Byrd. If you guys haven't heard of Donald Byrd, just delete your entire fucking playlist. You're a fucking uncultured nitwit. All right. I'll say it again. If you have not heard of Donald Byrd, delete your entire music playlist. You fucking retard.
Okay, I'm a retard.
Not you, boy. No,
Yeah,
Bird is-
Zach's there.
Bird is-
So boy.
no,
Okay.
boy knows about other things that could save him, like Fela Kuti and other things. So
Donald Byrd. I want to hear more now.
yeah,
so I can stop my retardation.
yeah, this is a melody that they composed that's been reworked by Madlib of Stone's Throw Records called Stepping Into Tomorrow. Right, so yeah, so I really like this one. You know? Stepping Into Tomorrow. Got both feet on the ground. Stepping into tomorrow. My destiny is found. All right. Anyways, blessings.
Party people, Doom. Here to let you know that I have no prior knowledge to any invasion or any invasion being planned or executed, and I have no ties to Madlib or any organization affiliated. Thank
Blessings to the people. All right, let me open up this beautiful website that we've collectively discovered. And I'll open up Burton Wasson in this first chapter. At the end of the first chapter is where you'll usually find this story from the Shangzhou, right? And if you were there on the Jack Talcott stream yesterday, at the end of the stream, I had explained this sort of tale to Paul Unslaved, right? Because he's interested in Taoism, right? He has a keen interest in that. He's a fan of the Tao. So.
Yeah, he is. He's got a lot of it memorized too. I've noticed. Did you made an appearance yesterday? I must have just missed the end of the fucking show. Really?
At the end of the show, there was a special section with me, Ken Before the Storm, and Paul. After he scared all the panelists away.
Yeah, she was on there yesterday, right?
Yeah, I think she left way earlier, but I think he scared the Thorpes away. So that was pretty fun.
Wow, that must have, I didn't even see the Thorpes on there. That must have went a really long time because I caught most of it, I thought.
Yeah, it was pretty funny.
I'll have to get back in there. Yeah, I'll have to get how many?
8.
Holy
8 hours.
Christ in heaven. I'll have to get back in there and rewatch that. Yeah.
Yeah, I caught some of the Thorpe stuff, and then I caught some of the Ken Before the Storm and the Machine Lies, and that was a good conversation. And I don't know what the Thorpes were up to, but based on how Paul was sort of reviewing their presence, man, it sounded like, and then with Landry, it just sounds like
they're kind of professional trolls. I think that's kind of their gig.
Yeah.
Right.
I liked how Paul broke it down, their fucking shenanigans. He's usually pretty good at that.
Oh, yeah.
I'll have to check that out. Yeah, that'd be good magic.
He gave a pretty insightful analysis of their sort of tricks and and then I think
I missed that.
Yeah, and then Kem did a pretty good breakdown of what the general situation is as well. So
and TML brought the fire, I'm sure.
Well, we just had like a little bit of discussion, but I was talking about this story from the Shangzhou, right? Obviously I pointed people towards my stream, right? And there were 60 people watching there, and there's 10 people watching here. So I would assume that none of them agreed to come by and hear my stories about Shangzhou. But the Shangzhou story, it sort of goes a little something like this, right? It's like Shangzhou has a friend named Hu Zhu, right? And Hu Zhu is known for being a logician, right? And Hu Zhu comes up to Shangzhou and says, "You got a tree in your yard that Hu Zhu says to Shangzhou, I got a tree, that's its trunk's too big, right? Its branches are too wiry, right? So it could never be used for anything, right?" And he said, "Your words are big and useless like that tree." Right? So Shangzhou wants to prove to Hu Zhu that a tree that's just sitting there and doing nothing is actually that it doesn't need to be used for anything, right? It's just doing its own thing, right? So that's basically Shangzhou's whole prerogative, right? So Shangzhou wants to describe sort of the use of uselessness, so to speak, right? Or why things that can't be put to use are of value, right? And so on and so forth, right? So he sort of right, and this is sort of a second part of a whole thing, right? First, Hu Zhu complains, right, that he has these like big seeds that that are like giant and they can't be planted, right? And this like thing grows these giant seeds that can't be planted, right? And And Shang Tzu kind of tells him, he's like, why don't you like split one in half and jump inside of it and go canoeing, or or use one as a gourd, right? Or make gourds out of it, or he says, why not use them for anything, so he's talking about this tree, right? It's like its trunk is too big, its branches are too wiry, can never be used for anything, it's fucking useless. And Hutsu then follows up the statement by saying, you, Shang Tzu, your words are big and useless like this fucking tree, right? You're completely trash, dude. You're fucking trash, right? This is Shang Tzu, right? So Shang Tzu compares Hutsu to a weasel, right? It says, Hutsu, you ever seen a weasel that goes and chases small prey and then it dives into a trap and gets caught, right? And it says, well, there's a yak that stands with this chest as big as a cloud, and it doesn't chase around small prey, right? Like yak, they just eat some grass or go chill, right? They don't need to chase prey. Right, and he says, now you have this tree, right, just like the yak, right, because it doesn't apply itself to many activities in life, right? It doesn't change forms and so on and so forth and try to assimilate and get caught up in things, right? Right, he says, because its trunk is too big, its branches are too wiry, he says, because of its uselessness and uniqueness, it will remain and not succumb to harm. Right? So by things being as they are, not being affected by other things, not being of any use, they survive. They don't get put to use. They don't get cut down, and so to speak, right? So he's saying that the value of this tree is its uselessness, so on and so forth, right? So this is a direction of his sort of ideas towards this sort of non-utilitarian acts, right? In terms of, not expecting results, right?
The non-striving nature of things, right? Like the trees that grow the straightest and the tallest, they're reaching up for the sun. They're perfect for boardage. It's those ones that embrace that natural unformed state. It's an interesting thing. Master Nee, one of the guys I studied with in Tao, a longtime Tao guy, I was pursuing the Pill of Immortality, and he was brought to me the description of people who make it into really, really aged old age, and talking about the lumps on their bodies and like the moles growing on their faces and like the distortion of coloration of skin and so on and so forth. And he said, if they're 100 years old and they look like that, he said, can you even fathom what an immortal looks like? He said, the older you get, the more chi you store in the body in the form of gnarls and twists and huge useless roots growing in all directions. He said, there are immortals like that, and I have seen them. And I was like, God damn, that's some dank shit right there, baby. So keep it coming.
Yeah, it's like they had this Taoist sage that's like super, super old, and like when you see like pictures of him, like his nails are just fucking just like curled up, like he has like nails that are just like curled up and long as fuck, to where the guy just didn't cut his nails for like 100 years or some shit. But, yeah.
Right. The old Sichuan gal that lived to like 114 or something.
Yeah, you know what I'm talking about.
Smoking 5 packs a day and growing wart hairs, 3 feet long. Shit ain't cute,
people
man.
like that. Yeah, there's weird people like that for sure. So, but
isn't immortality terrifying? Like not something that you'd want, right?
Should be. Yeah, it should be. I'm not sure if I'd take that.
Maybe like a really long age, like they talk about in the Bible, 1,000. Like what someone would look like at their 1,000.
Yeah,
But I
that'd
feel
be-
like that's with the Philosopher's Stone, where you might actually be like healthy looking, like optimal 30, whatever your optimal age is, 27, 33.
yeah.
Like you
Right.
go,
And the difference in like appearance and like legitimacy, right? So like what we might perceive from that being and what they actually are would be kind of a Lovecraftian gestalt shift, right?
Yeah. Yeah, so
Because
I
we
mean,
see all the time of like, you know, the Hulijing or the fox that presents itself as a beautiful young female, but in reality it's like this nine-tailed bestial animal like the weasel a moment ago, you know, chasing the
Uh-oh.
shadow. Yeah.
Whoa, is that really the truth behind that? So that's kind of weird that our friend Melanie Ninetails Cosmic Fox uses that as their avatar. What the hell?
Yeah, in Dao we call that the painted skin
Is it trying to trick
ghost.
dudes? Is she trying to? Is he or she trying to trick dudes? Even, but yeah,
little something
well,
going
that's
on
a
there.
theory with the reptilians that they're like these tyrants are actually reptilian. You know, everyone knows the reptilian there, but that's like, right? They use some sort of shape-shifting mind fuck. That'd be the same thing, right? Like something different than
Yeah,
what you're
sure.
actually looking at.
So like the true Philosopher's Stone is that ability to have the heavenly eye open and to see beyond that shadow of illusion that's being presented. It's kind of like I'm sure you gentlemen have experienced this, but you might be watching some adult content and then you kind of freeze in and see like the veneer falling away and the actual bestial creature that lives underneath, you know, and you're like, good goddamn, and I was excited by that. Kind of a change there.
You just gave me like an interesting thought, because like when I think of the Philosopher's Stone and making it and then you eat it, and you get real healthy, but I'm thinking of physicality. But you just said something about opening up where you could see different. That would make you feel youthful, even if you were in an old body. You'd be like, oh my god, I got this information. I'm like feel fucking awesome, dude. Like, I don't know. I'm just kind of shifting it from like, doesn't have to be about the physical, just like changing gold, material iron to gold. It's like your understanding is like the youthfulness, you know what I mean? And then the physicality could follow it, like a tail. But that's interesting. Just put I didn't look at it like that before. Of like, but then the pursuit of, and then the pursuit of even being able to make that fucking thing. By the time you made it, you've probably changed so much internally, externally, whatever, And that's what might be. It might be a pursuit, anyways. Do you get to make the fucking thing, or do you get so close, like touching God, like we're talking about?
It's kind of the process, right? The master process, the methodology of the thing. And blessings to Zephyr of Oxel. I was there yesterday with her at Jack's as well before.
One of the homies, for sure. So this is this is one version of it right here. And I'll read like 3 or 4 different versions. We'll hit the brunt of this on the show tomorrow, and where we'll look at 2 or 3 different passages. I might open up the passage about the butcher too, because the butcher that never sharpens his blade sort of ties into this non-utilitarian axe as well, right?
Yeah. I've met guys like that, Chinese guys that know how to use a knife and can just fucking flesh just falls away from the bone.
Yeah, exactly, right. So he talks about how, because of his sort of knowledge of where all the sinews and the little parts of the animal are, the sort of butcher sort of takes off the skin of the of the animal with one just movement, right? So he never has to sharpen his blade. So with sort of minimal action, he maximizes his sort of results. It's kind of like what Shang Tzu is. So he doesn't need a thing to fix the knife that he uses to accomplish the task, because it never dulls by him using it, right? So he doesn't need something else for what he's doing, right? He just relies on the action that he performs.
Yeah,
Right.
that's the whole idea of Tao and like Tai Chi is that you're moving through the spaces where there is no resistance, right? You take action when the lull is there, and yeah, it's a beautiful thing to see master butchers or carpenters or anyone at work that has embraced Tao in their work.
Yeah. So Dr. D Head, I told Buddha that you apologized, right, for being mean to him, and he goes, "Who is Dr. D?" So he didn't even remember who you were. So anyways, it says Hoot Zhu said to Shang Zhu, "I have a big tree of the kind men call shu. Its trunk is too gnarled and bumpy to apply a measuring line to. Its branches too bent and twisty to match up to a compass or square. You could stand it by the road and no carpenter would look at it twice." Right? That's all he cares about, right? All he cares about is how can you use this tree for something, right? And Shang Tzu's kind of saying that's not all trees are for, first of all. I mean, scientifically, he's pretty much right. Right? There's a reason why trees just need to be preserved because of their own treeness, if it were, or as it were. Right?
What they do with humans, they massage them into this fucking when things look alike, look the same.
Exactly.
Homeogenic, what do they call it? Fucking.
Yes. Precisely. Yeah.
So yeah. And then but who do we like? We like who are we on these panels? We're the gnarly, homelessy, wart-haired fucking, you know what I mean? They just look different than the fucking smooth-skinned automatons.
Right.
Please. But please continue.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, for sure. Thank you, man. So he says, to him, looking at this tree, he says, because no carpenter could use it. He says, your words too are big and useless, so everyone alike spurns them. There's the NPC. Everyone alike, you go by what everybody else thinks. Right? It's like, right? It's like you could tell Hu Tzu is limited in many ways, right? So Shang Tzu says to Hu Tzu, he goes, "Bruh, maybe you've never seen a wildcat or a weasel. It crouches down and hides, watching for something to come along. It leaps and races east and west, not hesitating to go high and low, till it falls into a trap and dies in the net. Then again, there's the yak, right? You want to be the yak and not the weasel, right? Big as a cloud, covering the sky. It certainly knows how to be big, though it doesn't know how to catch rats." Now you have the big tree, and you're all distressed because it's useless. Why don't you plant it in a not even anything village or a field of broad and boundless? Relax and do nothing by its side, or lie down for a free and easy sleep under it. Axes will never shorten its life. Nothing can ever harm it. If there's no use for it, how can it come to grief or pain? I'll go to a different one. And of course, we're on this Terabest online, right? Asia.
Yeah,
Down.
it's a big deal. This is kind of the whole embracing of the Zen koans, right? Where they get you to reflect on the ineffable paradox of the thing, right? It's such a beautiful way to illustrate like the embracing of the thing, and not grasping or striving for it, but just doing it, as it were, whatever that thing is. And it's so essential that, like, when in my younger days, in my teens, I really read and memorized all of these scriptures, whether it be the Shang Tzu or Lao Tzu or the Tao Te Ching, and many, many, many of these texts. And it saved me from so much danger in life and preserved me to the point where I was able to, like Lao Tzu says, walk over thin ice, and I did not fall. I was among poisonous serpents, and they did not strike me, right? Blades came against me, and they found no place to enter in or steal my life, though they tried. So yeah, there's definitely something to it. It's to be lived and embraced.
Okay, let me put us here.
I am the happiest man alive. I have that in me that can convert poverty into riches, adversity into prosperity. I am more invulnerable than Achilles. Fortune hath not one place to hit me.
Yeah, I remember you made me and Truther Cop say that.
Nice little mantra.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's got Tao in it right there, right? I allow no death within me, and so death hath no place to enter in.
Nice.
So this one beat Martin Palmer. I'll only read one more, and then I'll just sort of open it up. I'll drop the link again. I'll be here for another hour, I guess. There's more people watching now, so that persuades me to stay. So yeah, I mean, unless nobody comes by, then I'll just play music and end it. Right? So I don't know. It's up to you guys. Right? So Hoot Zhu spoke to Shang Zhu, saying, "I have a big tree, which people call useless. Useless. Its trunk is so knotted, no carpenter would work on it, while its branches are too twisted in a square compass, to use a square compass upon. Excuse me. So although it is close to the road, no carpenter would look at it. Now, sir, your words are like this, too big and no use. Therefore, everyone ignores them, right? So that's the main point. So something's big, useless. It can't be appropriated by people, right? It has no use for the common people, right? It's not commonplace, so on and so forth. So Shang Zhu finds value in all these things, right? He finds value in bigness and things that have no use and things that aren't commonplace, right? And he describes it, right? Shang Zhu said, so, have you never seen a wildcat or a weasel? It lies there crouching and waiting. East and west, it leaps out, not afraid of going high or low until it's caught in a trap. Caught in a trap, and it dies in a net. Yet again, there's the yak. Vast like a cloud in heaven, it is big, but cannot use this fact to catch rats. Now you, sir, have a large tree, and you don't know how to use it. So why not plant it in the middle of nowhere, where you can go and wander or fall asleep under its shade? No axe under heaven will attack it or shorten its days, for something which is useless will never be disturbed. Beast! Wait, I think we actually do have sounds. Let's go with this. What up, bitch?
The Gong Show.
The Gong Dog.
Yeah, it's an interesting comparison how the weasels and the jackdaws and the wildcats are running around striving, and their entire nature consists of that ever-present, insatiable urge of bloodlust, whereas the ox and the great gnarled tree, their virtue resides mostly in the still, slow prodding of the thing forth. Like, it brings us all the way back to the tortoise and the hare. The heron, it just wears itself out with that beating of the heart and that pounding of intention. Whereas the tortoise, just a long-lived motherfucker. Of course, he wins the race. Some turtles live to like 500 years, you know. It reminds me of a Japanese doctor, physician, that said, you know, all these people out there running around, working out and jogging. It's like the heart has so many beats and so much pressure it can take. That's a sure way to shorten your longevity. He's like, you want to live long? Go take a nap, motherfucker. Chill out. Relax.
Like Thoreau says, walk around a forest for hours. Like, that's good.
Yeah, there's
says
nothing
4 hours a
better
day
than
minimum.
walking. Is that right? Yeah, nothing better than walking in the woods for healing.
Yeah.
Now I'll read some of this and then I'll sort of leave it, you know, and we'll either try to start discussions here or on the show. But this one sort of shows, and blessings to Lizard Tree. Thank you always for watching, and all the other people that are here. I greatly appreciate your time. But yeah, so here's a little background about the story, right? Which this one is really useful. It says Hu Zi, also known by his personal name Hu Shi. See the introduction, it says in parentheses. And Zhang Zi were close friends. Their outlook of life were quite different, right? Their outlooks of life were quite different. Hu Zi was once prime minister of King Hu of Liang, who gave the gourd seeds to Hu Zi at the beginning of this story, right? So, I mean, I told you guys about the gourd seeds, right, at the beginning of the tale, right? Incidentally, he was the same king that Mencius met. Whoa, that's tripped out, man. So, Mencius, we sort of read that in the Mencius, right? Right, Mencius is a student of Confucius, and he seems to criticize Emperor Shen Nung and the Taoists, right? So, just as in the students of Shangzu, right? Because this is composed by the students of Shangzu, they seem to criticize Mangzi or Mencius, right? Right, who's a student of Kongzi or Confucius, right? And vice versa, right? They seem to challenge each other, right? So that's a notable insight about conflicts within Eastern philosophy, right? For you guys. Because of course, I mean, what can I say? I mean, we bring the heat, right? So anyways, incidentally, he was the same king that Mencius met and conversed with in the opening paragraph of the Book of Mencius. Zhang Zi, on the other hand, had no interest at all in the politics. He was a Taoist, right? And Hu Zi was a logician. Okay, so I mentioned that before, so I was right about that. Because here in another text, it's confirming what I said, that Hu Zi is a logician by trade, which means that these passages are meant to identify the limitations of logic itself, right? So there's something special going on here, right? When they were together, they always argued endlessly. Hu Zi died before Zhang Zi, right? Once visiting his grave, Zhang Zi sighed, "Since your death, I have had no one to talk to." That's sad. Apparently, these two men knew each other very well and did not let their disagreements spoil their friendship. Nice. In the story, Zhang Zi talked like a utilitarian. Things big and small can be put to good use if we give them enough thought. And herbal medicine may be worth 100 coins or a principality. It depends on how it is used. Zhang Zi would have liked to float with the gourd, right? But it was certainly beyond the imagination of Hu Shi, right? So he's saying that, depends on how things are used. I think he doesn't understand utilitarianism there, right? Utilitarianism is kind of like trying to say things have a definite use, right? Or they can be used for one particular thing, right? For the greatest outcome, right? So utilitarianism is trying to maximize means to a particular end, right? Whereas Shang Tzu is trying to say, look, there's a multiplicity of means that can be used, right? Right, so on and so forth. It's kind of what he's trying to imply, right, with the gourds. And so let's check this out. It says Hu Zi said to Zhang Zi, "I have a big tree. People call it Atlantis. Its trunk is tumorous. Tumorous? Tumorous? Sound like a tumor, right? And useless in carpentry. Its branches are crooked and cannot be shaped. It grows by a road, and carpenters won't even look at it." Now, what you have just said is exaggerating and impractical. People will reject it. Zhang Zi answered, "Haven't you ever seen cats and weasels?"
And as a side note, that sentence right there before you move forward, where Huizi had said, let's see, what you have just said is exaggerating and impractical, and people will reject it, is such a common thing
Right,
among
yeah, exactly.
among Chinese scholars, like in the Chinese language. It's like 你刚刚说的没有用，没有适用，你这个他们没人能听，没有人愿意听。It's so funny because I hear that kind of conversation a lot among them. And the other thing of like the bosom friend and like the sounding board and the echoing back and forth of like call and response in the Tao, it's a huge part of their teaching and their dialectic.
Yeah, so he says in the second part, basically what I'm trying to say, it says utility is not related to size, and utility itself is only relative. So there's no real thing to utility, right? So that is remarkable because I've never read this before, but it's making the same exact point about utilitarianism that I was mentioning, right? So yeah, that's pretty remarkable stuff. I appreciate his insight here, right? But anyways, sorry, I read ahead there, because I'm very interested in what they're trying to lay down here. So yeah, blessings to Lizard Tree, Zephyr, Voxel. Thank you guys for watching. So it says here, yeah. So anyway, Zhang Zi answers him, right? He says, "Haven't you seen cats and weasels? They lie low and wait for their prey. They jump back and forth, high and low after their catches. Sometimes they fall into traps and are killed." Now, think of the Thai bull. So these translations are a little different, right? And that might be because they're looking at different manuscripts. So there's also that aspect of things, right? Sometimes they're looking at different manuscripts to translate things different, and sometimes those manuscripts have different things written in them, right? But the same story. Okay, so there is that aspect of things as well, right?
Is it possible that animals are the personalities of humans, manifest material, the different personalities? I don't know. I'm trying to go down a weird road with animals, but it's kind of what they're saying, like, right?
He does that a lot in the Shang Tzu. He uses animals and even like sort of forces of nature and stuff to be like he sort of anthropomorphizes them in terms of his metaphorical explanations. Yeah, we got another morning stream tomorrow, and thank you for watching, Kem. But I got a little bit more of this Thai bull. That could just be a yak again, right? But it says, yeah, so he says, with its size like a cloud spreading on the edges of the sky, it has enormous capability, but it cannot catch mice. Now you have a big tree. You are worried about its uselessness. Why not have it planted in a barren land or remote wilderness? so that you can freely wander around it and leisurely take naps underneath it, your tree won't get axed off and damaged. It is not useful, but what harm will come out of it? So here's another explanation. He says, the second conversation between these two men is a continuation of the theme developed in the first. Utility is not related to size. Utility is itself only relative. A huge gourd may not be useful to everyone, but it can be made useful to some. A huge animal may not be able to do what a small animal can for lack of agility. A huge tree may not be useful for producing lumber or good grade, but this should not be the reason to destroy it, for it can still be useful in some other ways. Zhang Zi was preaching relativity. Swizzles.
Yeah, they want everything homogenous. You see it in the vehicles. There's no creativity. Submit, comply, obey. Don't stand out.
Even in the colors of the vehicles, right? The colors of the vehicles are gray these days, right? Gray, white, and black. And some people even have the color gray that we used to paint before you actually paint. You know, how do you call this? The base paint, right? The ground paint. Some people...
Yeah, primer.
Huh? What's that?
Oh, yeah, it's called primer.
Yeah, primer, yeah. So some people have their cars painted in primer color. Like, what the fuck, dude? Not even a shine on it, just matte. You know, just non-gloss or half-gloss primer. What is up with that?
It's that large gourd he was talking about. I brought these gourd seeds from Tennessee and then mixed them with the local gourds to make superior bottle gourds. I've grown some as large as a person. So yeah, big gourd.
Whoa.
Like old Shangzu was talking about. Just for fun. Regalia.
Yeah,
but yeah, tying it back into what? Oh, here's a beautiful gourd I didn't think about showing y'all. It's a small gourd, but it's a little more useful.
Wow.
Yeah, I was cruising around with my daughter the other day, and she's like, "Hey, Dad, why don't you trade that gourd for a car?" I was like, "That ain't never gonna happen, baby." I said, "You could take it when I'm dead and use it to pay for my funeral."
It's probably good to have gold on your skin or to drink out of stuff with gold, get little gold particles in you all the time.
Yeah, a lot of the gourds are turned into bottles as well. We make bottle gourds and keep wine in them. Spirit wine is what they call it. To bring it back to what you were saying earlier, though, Brian, yeah, the Taoists, they definitely did that. They would anthropomorphize or personify the people in different forms of animals, like the jackdaws and crows and vultures are a certain type of person, right? They're always gripping at dead flesh and cocking and crowing at everybody that walks by. And then there's certain types of birds like the phoenix or the eagle that just sit high in trees and just kind of chill and don't say anything at all, just silent and absorbing energy, right? So yeah, they definitely the Taoists have a tendency to talk about people in terms of bestial natures for sure.
But do you think that's by choice, or do you think that was?
Yeah, this is in part of the poem. Right, in the Autumn Flood section, it says, the mythical one-legged beast said to the millipede, "I go hippity flopping on one foot, and there's nothing like it. How do you manage those 10,000 feet of yours?" The millipede said, "It's not like that. Haven't you seen a man spit? He just hawks and drops big as pearls, fine as mist, mixing and falling. You can't count them all. I just put my heavenly mechanism into motion. I don't know how it works."
Right. He's also the centipede is also just one leg, right? Yeah.
Yeah, the millipede, right? Exactly, right. Yeah,
hundreds of legs, right?
Yeah, hundreds of legs moving as one.
leg. I mean, he moves as one leg.
Right.
Here's another one of those gourds that is
Aware
actually.
that the centipede actually is a snake. He's not even aware that he has legs.
Been turned into a bottle.
He thinks he's levitating around and shit.
Cool.
Right.
Yeah, it's cool looking.
It's got the
What is that fruit
pine,
called again, Frank?
the pine cone on top. Say again.
What's that shape called, or that fruit? What is it?
It's a bottle gourd.
Oh, gourd. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, gourd.
Yeah, it's cool looking.
Gorgeous.
It's like you painted it with like some wood finish or something.
Yeah, looks like they oiled it.
Yeah, that one's got some crafting into it. It's got the beeswax interior and then carved and painted. It's got some talismanic magic on it. So when you put the whiskey in there, it supposedly turns it into spirit wine. And that's one of the big things that the Taoists drank a lot was the so-called, not exactly like the quintessence or the elixir of life, but spirit wine. And supposedly we all have it. And it's just, if you pound the thymus gland 50 times every morning, then that will awaken like a giddy kind of feeling within the person. And so that's kind of the source of spirit wine. It's like an internal elixir of felicity. And when they reference it in alchemical texts, that's what they're referring to as I'm not exactly sure. I'm not a biologist, but the hormones produced by the thalamus or thymus gland, I believe.
Where is the thymus? Where's the thymus? Oh yeah, I thought so. Yeah.
Yeah, just above the sternum. And supposedly pounding that 50 times every day will awaken a youthful energy, and it will make you age regress to some extent. I'm not sure. I've been doing it since I was young, so I think it may in part be working. But good magic nonetheless. Yeah, Zephyr's funny. Gorgeous. Nice.
Brian said that first.
Who did?
Brian.
Yeah, you missed it.
Oh, okay.
You just heard me say gorgeous, probably.
Oh, nice. I didn't catch it.
Nice.
Yeah, Gordy.
You gonna name your kid Gordon?
No. Gordon with the glad hand, right? Is that who that was? Or Gordon from Oregon. Is that the reference you're making there?
It just sounds like Gordo. It's like got all the, it's just what? Gordo with an N at the end? Gordon?
Yeah.
That's what it's called, Gordo?
Fatty.
No, wait,
right?
what am I talking?
Gordito. Yeah, they're called gourds.
Gordo. Okay, yeah. Gourds.
Gordita. Yeah, I thought you were making a Twin Peaks reference there.
Nah, just it sounds Gordon. Too complicated.
Okay.
I mean, I like when things do tie in, but I just do it when it's kind of just simple in my head. The only Gordon I know is this BJJ practitioner, Gordon Ryan. I don't know if you ever do jujitsu.
No, yeah, that sounds interesting. Hoist Gracie was the big jiu-jitsu guy, right?
Yeah, he started the UFC. But what's interesting is he's like the number one, like most brilliant jiu-jitsu. This guy Gordon Ryan, like everyone, he's just the number one dude of all time ever, the greatest thing. But then he's like an idiot. Like he'll be on Instagram, just like he gets kind of like political, but he's just like a moron, like kind of like But I don't know, it's just interesting, that dichotomy. Like you could be excel so high in one area and then just be brain dead, like off the mats. Like you try to like speak and make sense of things. And he has so much confidence.
Yeah, absolutely.
The BJJ gave him so much confidence that he's just
those
such
skills
a
don't
bullhead.
transfer, right? Like Gordon Ramsay. That's the other Gordon I know, Gordon Ramsay.
Yeah, another bull in a china shop.
Right,
times.
where the skills don't transfer.
Compartmentalized.
There you go. That's where it all started, right?
And you got the you could, if you do understand one thing, you could understand all things. That's a Tao thing, isn't it?
Oh yeah. You can compartmentalize the hive by using the same methods that they use against us, against them.
Exactly what the AI is going to do, right?
Right.
It's gonna try to use it against us, and it's going to go against them. What's interesting is like they didn't have to introduce AI to us, right? They just get to a point where they're like, "Fuck, what does this thing do? We got to learn more." Like, all right, give it to them, see what they do with it, and we'll take it away. You know what they do? They give us stuff so we can tinker with it and make it so they can understand it better, and then take it away.
Yeah. I think that's a big part of it. Is that independent of the human experience, it's really not worth anything, and so somehow our participation and interaction with it is the key to its development. And without that, like, it's lost. Like you're all of us are familiar with the yin yang symbol or the Tai Chi. And so on the one side is the technology and the technique, and on the other side is the human aspect. And as they interact, there is some forward movement and growth and development. But if either one is absolutely isolated, then neither one has any value.
Yeah, a bee and a flower. One doesn't exist without the other. Huh? They look so different.
You mean seeing a flower?
No, bees and flowers. They don't, right? You need
bees and flowers. Okay, bees and flowers. Yeah.
But that's the thing.
Yeah. Never mind.
The AI, these fucking whoever's running AI, they need us for everything, dude. They suck. They can't create shit. Like I think we create shit and they take it and they hoard it and they fuck it up, and it's like they can't do anything without us. Yeah, dude, that's fucking. They suck. All they could do is take and fucking try to harm and try to scheme and.
Yeah,
but what do they do?
That's what all of these platforms are, right? They're the skimming of the surface. So they allow us the opportunity to express our data and our creativity, and they're skimming it and then trying to reuse it. And we see, like I've seen this time and time again, a lot of TML's ideas coming back in other forms on other panels in other places and so on and so forth. But like TML itself will say, is
the puppet master.
They don't have the essential dynamic. It's not the living, breathing thing that they created or are experiencing and synthesizing. So theirs it's got that obvious sixth finger, right? And those other tails that at least show the discerning practitioner that it's not OG.
Well, there's nothing wrong with being inspired or inspiring people.
Inspiration and citing sources are one thing, though, right? Like,
true. Yeah.
To be inspired and then cultivate and become a practitioner and develop and generate something of value, that's one thing. But to just simply cap it and then reproduce it is another thing entirely, right? Like I'm gonna cut your dick off, boy, and then go fuck my girlfriend with it. I mean, how fair is that?
I wouldn't like that, You wouldn't like that either, and your girlfriend neither,
She might like it. But
it was so hard when it wasn't void. It was so hard.
I wouldn't get much
out
out of it.
Bless it. I can do anything with that, Frankie.
Yeah, I hear you. What you been up to, boy?
What have I been up to today? Not much, dude. Saving my heartbeats. Saving my heartbeats. And today I got a bit frightened because I heard that 4 days ago our state decided to send a frigate to the Gulf of Persia.
Oh, 4 days ago, I thought maybe you were sad that BB got whacked.
Yeah, very sad, man. No, but I mean, so France said no, we're not going to join, and the UK said no, we're not going to join, and they have, well, not the UK, but France has a sizable army, right? Not very experienced, but then again, and so they said no, and this tiny little country, this tiny little vulnerable country, we are so vulnerable, and we're, I mean, just one bomb on the Netherlands, just one bomb on our dikes, and we're done, dude. So, it's such a stupid move. It's such a, like, there's no strategy behind it. I shouldn't actually be reasoning or reacting to it, because there's a plan, and the plan will take place. It's a worldwide famine, worldwide crisis that's going to take place this year. And the solution will be a one world government with a one world currency and digital ID and digital currency. And then we can, with this digital ID, we will get some currency, and we will get some food from the government, to survive. That's the plan. I can see it going there. That is the plan. So it will go there. And this is how they're going to do it. That's
Look how Albert Pike predicted these 3 world wars.
He planned it, dude. He didn't predict it. He planned it.
Yeah, it's funny how like one letter comes out, right, without a lot of scholarly backing, but it's like very few people have actually read Morals and Dogma. I think maybe even TML has gone into a little bit of research on that here. But yeah, he laid the entire plan out in the open, like in a big way.
Yeah, but it's from the Zohar, actually.
Right.
That's what I've learned is actually it's a war between Ishmael and Edom, and like as Voice said, it's just a plan. He's following a plan that's already been hashed out because he's a Freemason sort of Shabbos goy.
Yeah.
And so on and so forth. So that's fundamental aspects of things that people won't really understand unless they really, really look into Freemasonry and so on and so forth.
Yeah, hardly anybody is mentioning this on all these news channels, like nor the
they can't.
They don't talk about the Kalergi plan, and when they talk about World War III, they don't talk about Albert Pike, and I'm like,
well, to know today to know, you have to be sworn to secrecy, and the big thing is, they've got everyone believing that on the one hand that it's a prophecy, but in reality it's a playbook.
Yeah, it's a script.
So why would they call it Freemasonry? Like free energy, and then there's these weird buildings. I don't know. Why would they do? Why is it called that? Freemasonry.
Yeah, all those old world buildings left around, just hanging around for free, right? It's a Freemasonry, just set up shop.
Yeah, because they say things like founded, like they found them, and it kind of seems like time travel. Like if you just showed up, like I don't know, is it like Westworld type weird? Fucking, you show up and.
Yeah, here's the baffling thing. Like when I came over to Twilight Zone, Old Peking, there were a lot of these colonial buildings kind of hanging around, and some of them were demolished and destroyed and relocated and stuff. And then some would, like, I've been here going on close to 30 years now, some would reappear in the grid. And I started to wonder, like, yeah, maybe it's not a Mandela effect, but like legitimately they took or moved a church that made out of perfect granite stone or whatever, a free masonry, a free building of masonry. And then the motherfucker's gone. And then a few years later, there it is again. So do these things reappear in like a
They
like a
do too.
Matrix.
Even in their story, they'll be like, it burned down, and then we just rebuilt it the next year, and it's this crazy fucking granite building masterpiece. Like what? And it's like way back when. Like, what are you talking about? They
Yeah,
like built it
and
in a year. It's like what the fuck?
what baffles me is I've seen it somehow playing out in real time, and especially some of these older cities like Dalian or Shanghai that you go to, like it's all there. And even though they cover it up or they try to move it or like destroy it, even like it's somehow it's still there. It's really interesting. As far as I know, it's a mystery. But yeah, that's where I got to settle things, guys, because I do have to work in the morning. It's already like pushing into 1 a.m. So blessings. Good to see you, TML.
Yeah,
Voy,
blessings.
always,
I'm gonna shut it down here, anyways. So yeah, thank you for
always,
joining, Frank. I appreciate you.
always a pleasure. And Brian, very, very good to meet you, man. I hope to see you again in the future soon.
Yeah, take care, brother. Seeing you.
Frank, sleep well.
Yeah, good magic, guys. Thanks.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll be back tomorrow sometime between 7 and 10 a.m. So I mean, I'd like to start at 7:30 a.m., but I just can't get to that time. So sometimes it takes me a couple more hours. And so we push it back. So I'm not sure this week, honestly. I think maybe Saturday we'll be back to the regular time or not. I'll let you guys know in the community posts. Right, but yeah, tomorrow we'll be on for most of the morning time. So yeah, come join us there. In the morning and in the afternoon, we'll be live here on the Machine Lives. So yeah.
Are you still on Ramadan?
Yeah, that's why there's a problem with this. There's conflict with the scheduling of the shows. So
yeah, understandably so.
Yeah.
So if your dikes got hit, you guys could get drowned. Like Atlantis, you guys would get.
Yeah, I mean that would be the easiest way to, not destroy us, but to harm us. Just one good bomb in one dike, and half of our country, and that's where most of the production of our produce lies. Right? We call it the Westland. That would be underwater, and so very vulnerable, dude. Very, very vulnerable.
Wasn't it a sign of submitting, complying, and obeying? Like it's a sign, like we're team fucking whatever. Like, right? Like because your country is the shit, dude. Why the fuck did they do that? It's just a sign of corruption and degradation, dude.
I don't know. That's a very mixed message. I don't know what you're saying there.
No, I'm saying that your company, your country, you know how I think about your country, or Linda, bro. Like historically, you guys are the fucking shit. You're the best. But I'm just saying that you guys have come so far to send this stupid missile. Is that what you told me? You send a frigate, a missile? Is that they bombed like they got in this World War III conflict?
Frigate with a fucking dysfunctional deck cannon. And it's not even like it's not even a big one, but it's just got some radar capability.
So check this out. So check this out. In the Zohar, right? And I'll just pull this up for you guys, right? Because this like plot right here, right, is just explained. So you guys could look into this yourself, right? But it says in the Zohar, a foundational work of the Kabbalah describes a prophetic, spiritual, physical conflict involving the descendants of Ishmael and Esau, often associated with Edom, Rome, or Christianity. And who do you think Ishmael is associated with? Obviously Islam, right? So it's a war between the Christians and the Muslims is what it's talking about in the Zohar. So Ishmael's role and domain. The Zohar Shemat 32a Vera states that the children of Ishmael will rule the Holy Land for a long time. When it is empty from all the inhabitants, this rule is attributed to merit of circumcision, which gives them a temporary earthly portion in the land. The conflict with Israel. The Zohar predicts that the end of days, the sons of Ishmael will prevent the children of Israel from returning to their place until the allotted period of sovereignty is completed. So they're not returning to Israel is part of the plan as well. Get it right? Because when was the Zohar written, right? It's like 400 years ago that this shit was written, bros, right? So the Zohar, way before Albert Pike wrote any shit that he wrote, basically just parroting the Kabbalah, right? And this proves that the Freemasons and the Kabbalah follow the same script. They're the same fucking, like, the Freemasons are just Jews, right? The Zohar notes that the children of Ishmael will cause great wars in the world, the involvement, and this I had to break down to that dummy enslaved by truth. What a fucking incapable of understanding anything, right? Just like any Catholic, right? You know, it's just like these people are fucking morons, right? The involvement of Edom, Esau, the Zohar indicate. Now, this is the main point I'm trying to make. The Zohar indicates that the children of Edom associated with Rome or Christian civilization will gather against the children of Ishmael and war against them. Oh, shit. Then the outcome. The Zohar implies a tumultuous period involving a star that triggers global upheavals and ultimate goal of refining humanity and leading to the rise of the Messiah ben David. Right? There's Messiah ben Joseph and Messiah ben David. There's two Messiahs that they mention in the Zohar, right? And so on and so forth. So, if you guys don't know about certain of these things, it's pretty crazy, because people that are parroting some of the Freemasonic stuff, it's actually just like controlled by this script, right?
Yeah.
The conflict ultimately serves to pressure Israel into spiritual rectification. So all the suffering that the Jews go through, right, in Israel is sort of part and parcel of. Here, hold on. Let me actually. It's part and parcel of what they'll experience for their salvation. So all of their time in Europe is part of the fact that it's to make up for their sins, so-called, right? So they have this narrative, right? Anyways, I'll just put that up. You guys could, sort of pause the video and go over that if you like, because I sort of zoomed in on it there. So, anyways, or you can type that in yourself, right? All I typed in there, right, is war between Esau and Ishmael in the Zohar.
Yeah, and so they're both related. I mean, they're both connected to Zionism, right? There's not only Jew Zionism. There's also a Christian Zionism, right? And
well, that's what it's saying, kind of like that. That the white people will be brought in to destroy the Arabs for the Jews.
Yeah,
they're saying it's part of the script, right?
Yeah.
Is that America right now getting involved in the Middle East?
Maybe.
Are we the white
maybe,
people?
And that's why the Freemasons created America, right?
Well, all these states, all these so-called countries in the Middle East, they are also created. I mean, they didn't exist. They were just
right, and that's why most of them just follow the
decision. I mean, the most people that live there and that operate the business are foreigners, right?
Yeah, that's why they follow the script. Like Saudi Arabia, like those guys moved there and then took over.
Yeah,
based on the
Wait,
British
is America
government.
older than most of these places?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah. I mean,
this was all done
that's crazy. What the fuck? Where's the history?
Israel is the youngest country there, right? But the other ones, they're maybe 50
They're the
years
youngest
older.
and causing the most problem, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, the thing is that
like the Emirates and Saudi Arabia. And,
yeah, because see, there used to be something called the Ottoman Caliphate, right?
Yeah.
So the Ottoman Caliphate ruled a lot of that region, and then what happened is that they broke down the caliphate. This was during the same time where they had the Balfour Declaration and they had the creation of like Bolshevik, like Russia and so on and so forth. So in the 1917, right, basically around that time is when the Ottoman Caliphate collapsed, and they had the Sykes-Picot Agreement. You guys could look this up. It's called Sykes-Picot, Sykes, Picot, Picot, and it created most of the countries in the Middle East that we know today. So there's a little bit of history behind it. But anyways, I do have to run, fellas.
Thank you for that
Crazy,
information.
dude.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, look it up. But yeah, after the fall of the Ottoman Caliphate, they installed all these countries. It was Turkish nationalism that they used, right? They had an agent that was part of the Young Turks, or so on, the group that committed the Armenian genocide. They were used to break down the Ottoman Caliphate, right? So this is part of history, right? During the time, and of course, I have a book of Henry Morgenthau, right? He was in Turkey, during the time, he's,
Yeah, so I just wanted to say this. I knew that all these Bolsheviks and Marxists were more or less Jewish, right? Or Jews.
Right.
But the other day, I heard Lenin speak, and my Russian I don't know any Russian. I might recognize some words and some letters, but I don't speak Russian. But when I heard him speak, I heard like the Hebrew accent or the Yiddish accent. Like, it was so strong, man. It was so strong that I just heard a Jew speak. I was like, what? How could it was so fucking obvious. It's still it amazed me. Like, what? Such a strong Yiddish accent this Lenin had, man. This Ilyan Ulyovich.
Yeah, they're also from New York, Lenin and Trotsky.
Yeah, I know that. Yeah, they studied there, right? Yeah.
And also, I think Marx tried to get a job with the New York Tribune. So this is a historical fact. That Marx tried to get a job in the U.S., but then he moved to London instead to work for Lord Palmerston. So yeah.
Okay, let us not keep you any longer, TML. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, blessings to you guys. Yeah, I appreciate you guys. But yeah, I'll be back tomorrow.
Yeah, thanks so much.
Yeah, don't miss me too much, because we will be back tomorrow in the morning. So, so blessings to the people.
All right, thanks so much, dude. I'll try to make that. I'll talk to you later.
Yeah, peace, homie. Yeah,
all right, later.
All right, let me play some music for you guys, and we'll be back tomorrow morning, as I say. So I greatly appreciate the time and the correspondence, but maybe you guys need to send this show out to as many people as you can, right? Send it to your family members, to your siblings, to your spouses, your parental units, right? Send it to your friends, right? Send it to your coworkers, right? And tell them that there's a greater discussion going on, very rare, right, type of discussion, about, the problem of technology and so on and so forth, right? And how, we can correspond with sort of, different ideological frameworks to, deal with the issues. So I greatly appreciate you guys. Check out my introduction. I laid down some of the key issues there. Check out some of the explanations of Shang Tzu. Check out the interesting discussion we had with Voy and Brian O'Shea and, and the homies that came by, Frank Monday. Greatly appreciate you guys. So yeah, so here is some music. Blessings to all the people. Thank you for joining us here on The Machine Lies, where we talk about the lies of the machine on the machine that lies. And I hope you guys have clarity, to see through the lies. Blessings to the people. Talk to you guys soon. Peace.
Namah Shivaya, 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 Namah Shivaya.
Blowing in from the north, my entire aura radiant with the force. I was never lost, forward always striving. Clouds I was flying as my spirit was crying. The sun ain't shining, but Victorian streets are grim. But they look dim, trying to act like him. We walk light so thin on this path of death. When your whole crew of fighters trying to act like you're fresh. You're falling already, trying to battle Lewis Parker. I break down your dreams and smudge your scars through the stormy weather. B-boy forever, too many fraud charlatans out here acting clever. But I see through all these acted out sketches. Whack MCs in suits hide behind dresses. Sanctuary, you can't step to my forum, but there won't be no tears in the shadows of autumn. The shadows of autumn. I see the shadow of autumn. When we part, there'll be the shadow of autumn. Shadows in the silence of night, candlelight just rock. I see fallen leaves and invisible teardrops. I caught her glimpse with her wide hazel eyes for a split moment. I knew she sketched out her disguise. Sunrise, sunset on the roof with the fiddler, playing sinister to all these lost hope riddlers. I woke from dreaming to hear these violent screams. In the shade of even sparks the L for a reason. It was treason, but this season you getting done. Cause there's no escape from the powers of the sun. As the vibrant rainbow glow, I saw it all in slow-mo. Straight dusted out, listening to Perry Como. The show was strength, was in the spoken word. I keep my ciphers tight like rhino herds. So kill talking all that blah blah. What shall be, que sera, sera. The war's in the stars, planet to planet. My Jedi skills, taking out all you bandits. Step these planes, you best take caution, but there won't be no tears in the shadows of autumn. The shadow of autumn.
Here we are.
I see the shadow of autumn.
When we come, we'll be
the shadow of autumn. Shadows of autumn. Shadows of autumn.
When we come, there'll be no tears.
Shadows of autumn. I had it all planned out from the beginning. I heard the whispering as these fake frauds kept sinning. I left quiet, but no one saw me leave. Then look where I was at to hear the whistle of the trees. Round leaves full gentle, but you can't prevent me from rocking my from century to century. Got my beats, rhymes, and hell, so fuck you, circles. Skills on stealth, so who you see is that curtains. Cause my life won't change in these weather variations. The ancients, all about the love and hope and patience. Cause summer dies, but there won't be no fears. Just rocking on through these autumn years. The shadow of autumn. I see the shadow of autumn.
Here we are. Here we are.
The shadow of autumn. Shadows of autumn.
Wherever that is.
Okay, God, the way I see it, right? It's in the subconscious mind, your subconscious, because your consciousness, your full mind, as a whole, has been split in 3 parts. Your conscious part, conscious mind, unconscious and subconscious. So, in our subconscious mind is God, the way
wherever that is.
Okay, God, the way I see it, right? It's in the subconscious mind, your subconscious, because your consciousness, your full mind, as a whole, has been split in 3 parts. Your conscious part, conscious mind, unconscious and subconscious. So, in our subconscious mind is the one that talks to us in imagery. It's the telepathic mind, which we can't really access while in the body because we've been dumbed down by the brain, because the brain acts as a governor of our consciousness. So I'm not necessarily talking about the mind while in the body, because like I said, we've been dumbed down by the billions. This is how much they've dumbed down us, been dumbing us down. So, but what I mean is, when you leave the body, then you'll be able to access your subconscious mind that's been cut off by our enslavers. Then, but even then, it'll take a while to access the full extent of our subconscious mind. Which
I agree with everything you're saying.
All the secrets.
I agree with everything you're saying, but why are we still here then?
Okay, we are, because my theory goes, okay, there's actually 2 theories on the soul track community, but my theory is not very common. But the theory that many holds is that we are because we produce luz, right? For these entities, they are extracting our energy. However, That's to do with synopticism, that we originated from source. And we got sucked into this AI, which is taking our energy. But yet, where's the source? Where is God? The true God and creator of all things. There is nowhere to be found. There is no help coming. Yet we are down here suffering and suffering and suffering. You know what I mean? But my theory goes, the real reason why we are like lose is only the symptom. We have been enslaved by our creators because we pose a threat. They experimented on us and they created an awareness that scared the shit out of them. So what they did was, and they couldn't destroy it, they couldn't kill us. So what they did was they enslaved us into simulations like the one we are in now, in a loop, in a reincarnational loop with amnesia. But we weren't, I'm not saying we were created in a simulation, we were created in the real world. And then afterwards, these entities or these beings we cannot see, but I know they are there. Then afterwards, they created these simulations for us to be imprisoned. You know what I mean? So, yeah.
I want to go over what you said, Ignorance. So when you mentioned about these beings saw you mentioned how they saw how we were powerful, and then they were scared. So yeah, basically what you're going on, what I've looked into is we go back to the Sumerian myth of how Enlil, being the god of Yahweh, Jehovah, the demiurge, essentially saw the humanity, saw us as his creation, realized the infinite potential that we have and how powerful we could be. If we were to leave this realm, we would have an impact upon the other realms. So we go to the Babylon, the story, the Tower of Babylon story. Whether it was real or not, the metaphor is that they were trying to escape this reality and go into the heavens, but then Enlil destroyed the tower and kept us down here. And humanity's being trapped here because they don't want us out there. I think it's quoted in the Sumerian text, Enlil, or God, or Yahweh, sees humanity as noise, and we were too noisy for him, and we caused too much chaos. So they flooded humanity over and over and over again. That's why I think we have resets and cycles again and again, because when humanity becomes too noisy, they just reset everything again. All of our memory and nations will be wiped and flooded. Why we have Tartaria, we have all these other buildings that make no sense that are left. Remnants of the past, I think because they fear, from what I've been told by the Watchers as well, they fear the power that we have within us and they don't want it outside of this realm. The possibility. It's interesting you said that.
I love being around free thinkers. You guys are amazing. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. It's good we can have this conversation.
You're welcome.
And then it goes.
So what I'm saying is that okay, you can go.
No, sorry, go.
Okay, so just to add what you said that we have the potential to be greater than the creators, but we were created outside of the simulation. The simulations, like the one we are in now, was created for us. To engage the awareness which they created because we pose a threat to our makers.
Ritena